Hey guys, so I decided that I'm going to tell you my son's name. This is not the way I wanted to do it. I had thought about doing, I tried to come up with cute ways to do it, but I just can't. I can't hold it in anymore. I want to share his name with y'all. And a lot of people have been asking, and so, okay. And I was thinking about it a lot this morning, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to tell everybody. Because there's a backstory behind his name. And so, and I was thinking about that this morning. As I was laying in bed, I was listening. I was listening to my husband work outside in the yard, having my dog cuddle me, and feeling my son go absolutely crazy in there with kicking and squirming and just being a little wiggle worm in there. That I was thinking back on how truly blessed I am and how God keeps his promises. Whether we see it or not, it's God's promise to us. You know, God keeps his promises to us. If he tells us something, he's going to keep his word. He's not a faulty person. He's not a faulty God. He's not going to say one thing and then do another. And so as I was sitting there thinking about this and just enjoying this calm that I had, I was just thinking, I shared it on Facebook, what I was thinking. And I've decided I'm going to share it with you guys. So, in 2 ways, God has kept his promise to me. That I didn't expect, but I'm very glad he kept his promise to me, because in his promises he reveals himself. One of those promises was that I would meet my husband by the time I was 23, my husband would be in my life. And I was given that number at a very young age, that by the time I was 23, my husband was going to be in my life. And sure enough, when I was 23, Joe and I started dating. And we didn't get married till 2.5 years later, 3 years later. Something like that. I can't remember now. But, God laid that number on my heart, laid that age on my heart, and sure enough, he kept his promise. And then the other way is about my son. That God kept his promise. And I know that there are others who, my journey is to conceive was very short compared to other women and their stories and their struggles. However, for Joe and I, it was a struggle. It was real. It was hard. The number one factor in why it was hard for us to conceive was timing and my husband not being here. So it made like doing the deed kind of hard when your husband's not here. So it's cold. So yeah, so that was the number one factor. The number two factor is the fact that I have PCOS, and it hasn't, it was hard seeing that negative after negative after negative for a year and a half. To see that was hard. And like, if you know me, you know my heart is children. I have loved kids since I was a kid. I've always, known I was meant to be a mom. And so when we were having trouble and we weren't able to do what we needed to do, and then I go to the doctor and they tell me, yep, you definitely have PCOS, and being told that your body doesn't work right, it's a hard thing to hear. For me, it wasn't surprising, but it didn't mean it wasn't hard. And then, but I remember on my birthday, I was so angry and so frustrated with God. I was just like, what the heck? Everybody I know is getting pregnant and I'm not. This isn't fair. I was angry. I was mad. I had my worship music going and all I wanted to do was cry. And I was just voicing it to God. Just like, what the heck, God? Why did you do this? Why? I was mad. And I was driving to my parents' house to go celebrate my birthday, my 29th. And that was the other thing that was making me mad, is I was like, I really wanted to have a baby before I turned 30. And don't ask me why, because 30 is not old, by any means. And so, but I was just like, I want a baby. I want a baby before my 20s are over. And I was just like, I was just praying and crying and, whatever. And I just felt in my heart the Lord say, okay, by the time of your 30th birthday, you will hold your first little one. And I was like, really? So I did the math, and I was like, okay, that means I have until October to get pregnant. And I called my best friend, and I was like, I'm getting pregnant in October. I fully believed I was going to get pregnant in October. Didn't expect anything sooner. Was just like, it's going to be October. And I kind of looking back now, I just kind of go, yeah, God was laughing at me. Because, my birthday is the beginning of July. We got pregnant at the end of July. And when I got pregnant, I was like, wow, that was God. That I actually heard from God that he said, okay, yeah, you're going to get... And, I mean, I would think about Abraham and Sarah, and, they struggled. She was, like, way past her childbearing years when she finally got pregnant with Isaac. I think that's right. Pretty sure that's right. And, and God kept his promise to Abraham, who said, God said, yeah, your wife will bear a child. And he's like, no, she won't. And God kept his promise. And my son is a promise from God. And so we knew what his middle name was going to be. Because I talked with my husband, I talked with Joe before we got pregnant, saying, okay, do you want to, because his dad is Leslie Jack, and Joe is Leslie Joseph. And I said, do you want to continue with the first name Leslie? And Joe was like, no, we're done. I said, okay. He's like, but I do want to use my middle name. I don't want it to be his first name, but I would want to use it for his middle name. And I said, all right. So my son's middle name is Joseph. And I love it for many reasons. It's his daddy's name. It's a Hebrew name. And it feels like it fits my son. And so I was, again, in my car, thinking and praying. And I said, okay, God, I want you to name my son. We have a middle name, but I need a first name for him. What do you want his first name to be? Because Joe and I could not settle on a first name to save our lives. It was, Joe would throw out names like, oh, Seamus, oh, Finnegan, O'Malley, oh, whatever. My husband's very proud of his Irish, Scottish, whatever, heritage. He's very proud of his heritage, so he would just throw those names out there. Not serious, but not joking either in some ways. And for me, I've always loved, my favorite story in the Bible is of Esther. She's my girl. Like, if I could meet a Bible person who lived in biblical times, I look forward to meeting Esther, and her uncle was Mordecai. And I've always loved that name, but I hate the nickname for it. And that's Morty. And my dad's name is Rick. Or he goes by Rick. And so I couldn't do it. I'm like, no. And if you watch Adult Swim, you know why. I couldn't name my son Morty or Mordecai and then him be called Morty and then be hanging out with his grandfather and, oh, look, it's Rick and Morty. No, I couldn't do that to my dad. I couldn't do that to my son. So I was like, God, come on, give me another name. And God placed on my heart Levi. And I was like, I fought it for a little bit. Because I was like, because again, in my family, we have a lot of Lees. And I was like, we're going to add another Lee to the Ball family, really? Like, we have my grandfather, he was Darrell Lee Ball. My uncle was Darrell Lee Ball Jr. And my cousin, I have a cousin Leah, and her husband's name is Lee, and they have a son named Bradley and a son named Bernie Lee, and their daughter is Emily. And I have another cousin who named his daughter Catherine Lee. And I'm like, you're serious? You want to add another Lee to this family? And I came home and I was sitting and I was talking with Joe. And I was like, well, what do you think of the name Levi? And he's like, that's perfect. That's his name. I was like, all right. So his name is Levi Joseph. And it didn't hit me till later. I don't know why. But it just didn't hit me till later that we are still keeping with Joe's family in the tradition of the initials are all the same. Which is LJW. Because Joe's dad is Leslie Jack Watson. Joe is Leslie Joseph Watson. And now Levi. So that's the backstory. That's my son's name. His name is Levi. Levi Joseph. And I'm very excited to meet him. I love him so much. And I'm so grateful to God for his hand and his favor. And, you know, just watching over my son as he grows inside of me and I feel him kick, and just knowing that God has a purpose for this little one's life. And I can't wait to see what God does through my son and everything like that. So there y'all go. That's my son's name. So give this video a thumbs up for his name. And leave any questions you might have in the comments down below. Joe and I are going to be doing a Q&A. Our anniversary is coming up. So our wedding anniversary. So if you have any questions for us, you can leave them down in the comments. And on January 16th, we will do a Q&A after we get home from dinner. Yay. So we will do a Q&A for you guys. So, yeah. So, lots of love, lots of baby dust. And I will talk to you guys for my next video, which will be my bump date. Bye, guys.